This weekend's UFC 261 is sure to be a can't-miss event. Every punch, I can't kick on the air, but I'm doing a kicking motion right now, and every knockout means so much more with a DraftKings lineup on the line. DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of UFC, is giving you a shot at huge cash prizes. For this weekend's fight, DraftKings is offering all players a shot at millions of dollars in total prizes.
And if you haven't tried it yet, first off, why not? Fantasy MMA is easy to play. Just pick 6 fighters, stay under the salary cap, and pile up points for advances, takedowns, and more. There's no better way to put your MMA knowledge to the test than to compete for a shot at millions of dollars in total prizes. Plus, don't forget about basketball and hockey, where DraftKings has even more money up for grabs throughout the week. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable, so you can deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience.
In the words of Frank Sinatra, it's a real kick in the head. Download the DraftKings app now and use promo code THPN to get a shot at millions of dollars in total prizes throughout the week. And if you do win, brag to us about it. Seriously, we love winners here on Bluenotes. That's promo code THPN to get a shot at millions of dollars in total prizes only at DraftKings. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
I was walking through the halls of a Minnesota rink when along came a wild fan who started talking smack to me. He said, I bet you never liked the Blues until they won a cup. And so I calmly turned to him and said, hey man, listen up. I admit it's pretty great to win Lord Stanley's prize, but listen, I've been waiting for this moment my whole life. Yes, sir, I'm a Blues fan. Yes, sir, I'm a Blues fan. Heartbreak's all I knew, man. That team from old St. Lou, man. Got a cup in here, 52, man. Give me a Let's Go Blues. I know Brett Hull, Courtnall, Campbell, Cujo, Jenny Oates, Brown, Chase, Fuhr, Zombo, Cecil, Butcher, Shanny, Tilly, Tuttle, Sutter, Twister, Turcotte, Kimball, Turgeon, Barron, Basson, Pronger, Pearson, Bergevin, Bozon, Al McInnes, Crab, Chuck, Howard, Chuck, Petrovicki, Pellerin, Dimitra, Yate, Corson, Conrad, Gretzky. Yes, sir, I'm a Blues fan. Yes, sir, I'm a Blues fan. Heartbreak's all I knew, man. That team from old St. Lou, man. Got a cup near 52, man. Give me a Let's Go Blues.
And now, the starting lineup for your Bluenotes podcast. Tom Franklin and the man called Wags.
And Blues Fan Reacts is not here. Hello and welcome to Bluenotes, located on the best city on the Mississippi, the best in the Midwest. We've got that Stanley Cup power, too sweet to be sour. And if you're still clueless, we are talking about St. Louis. This is your home for St. Louis Blues coverage on the Hockey Podcast Network. I'm Tom Franklin. This man over here is Wags. And Wags, how you doing, bud?
Oh, I'm doing great now. It's been a long couple of weeks, but I'm ready for this. I need to vent a little bit, and fortunately, the Blues are giving us plenty of opportunities to vent.
Yes, they are. And Blues Fan Reacts, a.k.a. Blues Fan Vents, is not here tonight. No, he is not. He hasn't given up on this team yet. He's got a family function tonight, so shout out to Mason's grandma tonight, and hope she has a very happy birthday. And it's got to be happy because she probably didn't watch the Blues game last night or the last couple of games. So yeah, that's not good. By the way, you pointed out during the intro that we're not the only ones excited about this episode. Phil Kessel is really excited about this episode in our intro graphic. I didn't even realize when I made that photo that he looks rather perky.
That he does. I mean, I know you used the Coyote Ugly picture and all that, but it fit perfectly. I was like, did you even have to Photoshop that? Because of all those hot dogs, he probably has a little bit extra jiggle in him.
Well, yeah, I don't think he ever was a physical Adonis, and he still isn't. I mean, especially when you're in Phoenix, Arizona, man, the Tex-Mex down there, the Mexican food, it must be just top notch. I mean, how could you stay skinny in Phoenix, Arizona? I personally don't understand. We'll talk to someone from Phoenix, Arizona this episode, by the way, who will tell us, I guess maybe she'll tell us how she stays skinny in Arizona. Cori Crenshaw with Sporty, with Cori and Richie is joining us to give the Arizona perspective on not just Saturday night's game, but also just kind of the Blues Coyotes race for fourth place. That I don't know if either side really wants to win that very much, because that pretty much means we're going to get bent over a table by Colorado. So and we've got enough of that coming up here, in the schedule, in the regular season. We've still got a few games with Colorado to get through. So
just a few,
just a few. We are absolutely not looking forward to that. Of course, we missed one of the games with Colorado last week due to there's some more COVID issues.
We're gonna miss the game.
Yeah, exactly. So so COVID issues continue to be an issue. I mean, Grubauer's back in, but then I honestly, we've had so many COVID related schedule changes, Wags. I'm confused. I joke that we're never, ever going to finish before June. And I still think that might be the case because we're one of the few teams that have games like after May 10th to make up. And I think at this point we've got 2.
Yeah, it's the Minnesota game. I think it's a Minnesota game, and it'll be the Colorado game. Now, the Minnesota game obviously is
the Minnesota game got postponed. Yeah,
but still, I mean, if we go and let's say Colorado's not fit to play later on this week, you may be talking 2 or 3 more games at the end of the season. We may be playing along with the Canucks until like the 16th.
Yeah, that's a real question at this point. Of course, we've got a few days before the next Avalanche game on the schedule, which is Thursday, April 22nd, and then we're supposed to play them at here at Enterprise Center on Saturday as well. So yeah, we'll see if those games actually do happen or not. COVID is so much fun. It is so much. It's a blast. By the way, on Friday I should be fully immune, or I guess as immune as one can be after getting my second shot earlier this month. So it's going to feel better. But yet at the same time, I realize it's like we got variants to deal with, and we're still gonna have to be careful for a while. And it's just like there's light at the end of the tunnel, but it's like not quite. It's like it's like running on a treadmill, and there's a carrot right in front of you, and you're trying to run to the carrot, and you can't quite reach it. And now you got Ontario and Quebec going on lockdown. It's still not great, Wags.
No, it really isn't. I actually get my first shot on Friday, so
good for you.
I'll be starting my pathway to immunity here very, very soon. And you just really hope it's not one of those, Coyote paint on the wall, trying to get the Roadrunner to run into it kind of light at the end of the tunnel. And yes, I did think of that on the fly, even though we're talking about the Coyotes. So there you go.
That is a perfect analogy. So the St. Louis Blues, I guess we need to talk about them a little bit here before our guest joins us here, Cori Crenshaw with Sporty and Cori and Richie.
Are we going to do what we did, talk about them for like 20 minutes and then just kind of piss away the rest of the show?
Oh, man. Well, thankfully our show is just one period. It's the first period. So I think we'll be okay. Now the future version of the show, which by the way, we have been teasing an announcement coming up here in the next month. It really depends, by the way, on what the Blues do, because when the Blues are done, so will we for the summer. We can say that at least right now. We're going to be taking at least a few weeks off. I'm going to Hawaii in June, so I need a little bit of a break from this. But when we come back, there's going to be some changes, and that might be one of them. So we'll cross that bridge. We're still a ways away. But rough week for the Blues in the past week, of course. They had the game with the Minnesota Wild postponed because of the unrest over the Dante Wright shooting. So they got 2 games in with the Wild. They were supposed to get 3 in the previous weekend. And they beat the snot out of the Wild Friday 9-1. It was then Saturday it was 3-2. And you guys started off the episode last week, and it was optimism. Jordan Binnington comes out and says, "We're coming." And all of a sudden, it looks like we're turning a corner, and it's the shades of 2019 all over again. And it's going to be okay. It's going to be great. Then the Wild game gets postponed. By the way, Ashley Jones, welcome to the show. Thanks for watching us live here tonight. And then we get to experience Colorado for a game Wednesday, April 14th, 4-3 loss. Just Colorado's good. And then the Arizona game yesterday, where the Blues put up 2 goals in the first period, and it looks like man, we are really going to turn this ship around. I mean, 2-0 lead over Arizona. This is our final game against them this year. They gave us troubles earlier. We got sick of seeing them because we played them 7 straight games. And I get kind of comfortable. And then the second period happens. And this is becoming an issue with the Blues, where they start off hot and then they go into the locker room. And they physically come out of the locker room, Wags, but it kind of feels like mentally they don't.
Yeah, it almost feels like they got comfortable. They're like, hey, we're up 2-0. We know when we jump out to a lead, we're going to win the game. I mean, yeah, they may let up a goal. I mean, I think they're still one of the only teams in the league right now that has not posted a shutout on the year. And that's terrible. But you also look at it and you go, it's a 2-goal lead, and the 2-goal lead is the worst lead in hockey. So at some point you have to sit there and say, look, yeah, we're comfortable being up 2-0. We know when we have a lead, we can play with that. But you also have to remember it's a 2-goal lead, and we've sucked so bad at holding those leads. You got to put some fight in. And it's like Doug Armstrong has said it multiple times. Like, you have to step on their throat and push. You cannot let up. And when this team faces any sort of adversity, and this is the thing that 2019 they did so well. They faced adversity in 2019 and just turned around and kicked it in its ass. Well, this year it seems like any sort of minor setback and everything just goes out the window. I mean, you talk about that game against Colorado. They had a good first period, and then it just was like boom, boom, and all of a sudden you're down 3-1. You're like, well, fuck. They came back, but they came back way too late. And then you get into Saturday's game against Arizona. It's like you're up 2-0. Yes. Then the Coyotes score a goal, and you're like, oh no, okay, we got. And then Keller scores a goal, and it's tied.
He loves playing the Blues.
He does. And then a tip in by a guy named Bunting. Like, the only Bunting we want to see in St. Louis is Cardinals World Series Bunting, but
or umpire Jim Bunting.
But
yeah.
It seems like any little small bit of adversity this team faces this year, they crumble, and that's surprising after what we saw in 2019.
Yeah, and Craig Berube used the word fragile to describe this team after Saturday night's loss, and that's scary because it's you want your team of veterans, and this is what this team is. It's mostly veteran players. They're a lot of players that are in the prime of their careers, players that you're expecting to. We talked a little bit about last week about who jumps up to fill the leadership vacuum that Bouwmeester and Steen left behind. But we're still kind of waiting on that, and you're so far into a season. You're about a month away before it ends. You're in a race, for your playoff lives, which is not where the Blues wanted to be right now. They, I think a lot of people, us included, expected them to be sitting pretty around, third place and everything was okay. Not the case. And Craig Berube comes out and says his team is fragile. And I don't know if he did that as just an honest assessment of his team and how maybe it's an indication they're not reacting to him very much, or maybe it's a wake-up call. But as Derek points out, it sucks to not come out with anything for the past 2 one-goal games. And that's true. They didn't even go to overtime. So you don't even get the obligatory OT point for this, which is troubling. And then, as Ashley points out, the second period cool-off bit them in the butt. So make some sense out of this Craig Berube comment, about his team being fragile. You think it's a wake-up call, or you think it's truly an honest assessment?
I think it's truly an honest assessment. I mean, what do we know about Craig Berube? He's honest to a fault. He confronts you with exactly what's on his mind. He's not going to sugarcoat or try to say something in the media that you have to interpret. He's coming right out and saying this team is fragile. I mean, he sat Jordan Kyrou. That's something that you look at it and you go, wow, why is he sitting Kyrou? I mean, he hasn't produced, and he's gotten into his head a little bit, but that's the Berube method. It's, hey, you're going to get sat, and look what it did for Mike Hoffman. And I'm not saying that's exactly what happened for Mike Hoffman. I think part of it had to do with the fact that the deadline was approaching, and he was either trying to prove himself to another team or prove that he needed to stick here in St. Louis. But he's still playing well, and part of that is in part because of the benching. And you really hope Kyrou takes that as well. But as far as the comments are concerned, I really think it's just him coming out and saying, look, you guys, you're not playing well. You guys are fragile-minded. You let adversity hit you, and you don't hit back. And I think it's just an honest assessment and truth, which is what Craig Berube is all about.
Exactly. And you know what? I'm actually sort of relieved that we're not blaming Mike Hoffman for these issues anymore. I mean, he was kind of the scapegoat for a while, and some of it was deserved. And Berube showed that with, as you said, he, sat healthy scratch Hoffman for, for a little bit there. And then he comes back and he's been a house of fire. I mean, he got another point Saturday night. He seems to be contributing more to the offensive rush, which is, something that, I feel that he again, we've talked about him ad nauseum here. He's a guy that you set up the offense around him and you prepare around him, and you just, he goes and, stands in the Ovechkin circle and just waits for his shot. He seems to be more involved, at least in the attack. And I'm not saying that he's not Wayne Gretzky with, stick handling or puck handling or anything like that, but at least it shows that he gives a crap. Yep. Which has been a complaint about Hoffman. He sounded very indifferent after he got those 2 goals, a week ago Saturday. Maybe something is lit up in him. Well, and also keep in mind, this is a contract year for him. I mean, he's going to be a free agent again. So, he wants to change the narrative. At least he should want to change the narrative that, he's, lackadaisical, or, he's temperamental, or he is just a one-dimensional player. He wants to change that narrative before the season's over. Otherwise, he's not going to get that $6 million contract that he wanted, this past offseason. It's just not going to happen. So we'll see what's going on here. By the way, Kyrou was healthy scratched. That was a late announcement Saturday night. Ashley wonders, she thought that Kyrou may have had a stomach bug.
That was the rumor, I believe, was that he was set because of a stomach bug. But I think that's more of the matter of that's trying to keep a guy from having too much put on him. He was, in my mind, he was a healthy scratch. They could have said stomach bug, and honestly, something is going around, so it could have been a little bit of that. But I wouldn't be surprised if the plan for Berube was to have him sit on Saturday as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it may have been one of those situations where he could have gone. But I mean, I don't think it's a total wake up call for Kyrou, but he's a guy that's also been kind of, in and out this year. I mean, he had that hot start, and then now I feel like the league figured him out a little bit, and he's been kind of quiet.
Gun shy. He's been
very quiet and downright hesitant. Yeah, I mean, he's not the same house of fire that he was at the start of the season. He isn't that same. He's not the same forward that torched Alex Pietrangelo, on that breakaway and left him holding his jockstrap. It's something's going on with Kyrou, and he's a young player. He's still, I think, we're going to have these moments with Kyrou, I think, for the next couple of years. He's got to find his game. He's got to find his rhythm. He's got to find his consistency, and it'll take a while. So I'm not too worried about him. I'm not too worried at all about him. But, and you know what else we don't have to worry about? The Arizona Coyotes. We're done with them. They're all 8 games done.
No a miracle is going to happen. A miracle is going to happen, and we're both going to somehow make the playoffs and both win our first round matchups. And somehow or another, we're going to play the Coyotes in the playoffs. That's going to end up happening just to prolong our misery.
So is the Wild just going to implode and just go winless the rest of the season? Because that's the only way that's happening.
It's Minnesota, so that's not out of the question.
That's true. I mean, it's they've been known to choke a game or two, and dating back to the Stars. I remember the Stars had some close calls back in the day, and they choked away. So you know what? Hey, I guess it's just tradition, but we'll see. Let's go ahead and we talked about the second period issues with the Blues and what's ailing the Blues. Let's get the Arizona perspective from what happened Saturday night, because there's always 2 sides to a story. And to give us that side is Cori Crenshaw of the Sporty with Cori and Richie show. She is our Bluenotes face-off of the week.
It's the Bluenotes face-off of the week.
And that beautiful NHL 94 music means we have a guest with us on this show, hailing from beautiful Phoenix, Arizona. It is Cori Crenshaw. Cori, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Probably the answer to your previous question of how everything is here and our side of everything is, thank God we played the Blues, because it finally gave us some happiness after a very long stretch of absolute misery, which is basically what happens every single time we play the Blues, considering the fact that I don't know what it is, but you guys must just hate us by now. There must just be a point that you guys are just done.
We can't fucking stand you anymore. That we are at that point of the relationship here. I mean, like we used to like this time last year, I was one of the biggest, Arizona Coyotes apologists. It's like, hey, come on, stop picking on them. They've had a rough go of it, and then, rooting for you guys to beat Nashville, which I would still do that if you were to face Nashville again, because it's Nashville and screw them even worse. But it's just like now it's just like after 8 games and knowing that you're going to be in the Central Division to ruin our lives for the next, decade plus. I'm not looking forward to it. I don't know, Wags, you're not looking forward to it either.
No, not at all. We already have one team we loathe and despise and struggle against in Nashville. We don't need another one.
No, we don't. No, and the Nashville thing it's part geographic. They're a geographic rival. Their fans are just naturally bullies, and they're just kind of they're a different breed in Nashville. Let's just say they learned hockey their own way. It's kind of like they how you like if you're learning to ride a bike. Let's just say, and you got the training wheels, and your dad or your mom's like helping you along and helping pick you up when you fall and all that stuff. Nashville didn't have that dad or mom around. They learned to ride that bike by themselves without training wheels, and this is the result. You have them throwing catfish on ice, and you have sister wives and trailers. It is just an absolute mess in Nashville. So that's what you got to look forward to. So just warning you in advance, they're a different breed. But let's talk about Blues Coyotes. That's why we brought you on here. And we talked about how the Blues basically, they fold into a turtle in the second half. That seems to be their thing lately, where they just completely say, you know what, second period, we'll come back for the third. It's fine. And it's becoming an epidemic. But from your perspective, Cori, why do you think the Yotes came away with a 3-2 win last night?
Well, I think part of it is that was the Leighton Accardo induction night. So that I think has a big deal to do with it when her whole family's there and they put her in the Ring of Honor, and they really kind of needed to show up that night, as they haven't been previously for God knows how many games it was now. I'm just blanking all that out at this point because I'm just getting tired of all of it, starting with the Kings, going through the Knights and Avalanche, and it was just really bad stretch for the Coyotes there. So if there was ever a time for them to pull out, it was definitely against the Blues for her induction night. It was beautiful and it was everything that we're all hoping it to be. But I think also too, it's the one night that Keller actually shows up is against his own hometown. Is always the time he always seems to appear. I don't know why that is, but even on our podcast, I'd even said this is, if there's a game where I'm going to see the Coyotes come back and actually look like the Coyotes that we know that they can be, it's going to be in this game. And I couldn't tell you why. I could not tell you why they always show up in these games. But the first period was very much the way the Coyotes have been. And then when you started to see that surge towards the end of the first and then going into the second, that is how they play against the Blues. The beginning of the game was how they play against everyone else.
Couple listener comments here. Ashley Jones also not looking forward to life with the Coyotes going forward. So it's not just us. It's everyone, basically the entire Blues fan base. Derek points out that Darcy drives me crazy. Darcy Kemper. Keller drives me nuts because he's from St. Louis. Waggis, we're going to talk about that here. He also didn't appreciate Kessel's slash on Blais. Garland seems to do well against us, so that's annoying too. I want to talk to you about Garland in a little bit, but first things first, Wags, you want to talk about our St. Louis boy?
Yeah. I mean, you've already mentioned it. Keller seems to play so well against his hometown team in the Blues. Richie Flores, your co-host, said that if he played only against the Blues, he'd have 100 points a season easily. So we talked a little bit about the Coyotes moving to the Central. Does that make it a little bit easier for you guys to swallow, knowing that Keller's going to face the Blues a lot more going forward?
Considering the fact that how long of a contract he has with us, I guess that'd be how I'm feeling about it, because of the fact that otherwise he doesn't feel necessary. There's a lot of people on this team that don't feel necessary. I'm glad that they brought up Garland, because Garland's having a great season and he has a really, really small contract. He's only only at 750,000. So he's playing way above what he's getting paid, and he's definitely going to be getting a much higher payday. But that's the problem is Keller signed for like 7 years, I think is what it was. And so we're stuck with him for a long period of time. And so I would like to see him, come into his own. He had a really great first year, had that traditional sophomore struggle, and then he just hasn't really come back to that first rookie season quite yet. I don't know if he'll ever get there. He kind of needs more protection around him. He's a smaller guy. It's funny, in I think it was 1 or 2 games ago, Oliver Ekman-Larsson had gotten cross-checked while he was on the ground, and Clayton Keller was the one that decided to try and fight to kind of defend him. And it really kind of just really showed how undersized he is. So it didn't really help his cause. But I think in the long run, it's going to help him anytime he has to play Blues a lot. So for his own career purposes anyways, because it's literally the only time he fully shows up on the ice. And unless his team really changes quite a bit, I don't see him being extremely successful.
Well, I mean, it looked like he was turning a bit of a corner this year. I mean, he's 13 goals, 18 assists, 45 games. Corsi for percentage is almost 55%, which is good. Jays Fresh's analytics show he's 2 wins above replacement, which is an improvement over the -0.2 and -1 the past 2 seasons. But like you said, you almost feel like you need to get more around him. So can he improve this team by himself, or who would you be looking at to kind of build around him to make him more productive like he was in his rookie year?
Well, so that's the thing. You're either going to have someone who's larger and can give him space on the ice, because once he has some space, that helps. But at the same time, if you give him a full-blown breakaway shot, he cannot score it to save his life. It is god awful, and it's so quite frustrating in that sense. So there's gonna. In reality, he is a very good playmaker. That's more of up his alley. That's more the style he likes to play. And you can definitely tell that the way that the Coyotes are pushing him is outside of his normal comfortabilities. And they really needed him to step up and really be a goal scorer instead. He's just never going to be a Patrick Kane. That's just not how he plays, and That's not who he is. And so it's going to, honestly, I think, he's going to need someone that's going to be a natural goal scorer on a line with him in order for him to be productive. He's going to be getting a lot more points in the fact of assists than I think he will ever in goals in his career. He's trying very hard, and you can tell that he's trying hard to be that goal scorer for this team. It's just, you can see how unnatural it is for him. Yeah. And as much as he progresses, it's still never his like apex of what he can be.
Honestly, Wags, he kind of reminds me a little bit of Jaden Schwartz, in that Schwartz is a guy that he's not a goal scorer. I think a lot of fans wanted him to be a goal scorer starting out. And Keller also has the same problem Schwartz has, in that he can never score on a breakaway, like ever. Like if I had a dime for every time Jaden Schwartz had a clear-cut opportunity, even breakaway or maybe just like an open shot in the slot, and he can't convert, I mean, I would be able to buy a house in the St. Louis area right now with cash. That
well, also add in the amount of times he falls down without like anybody really around him, you would be a millionaire.
Oh God, yeah, man. There is a drinking game that we need to develop here with Jaden Schwartz, and he would get us all in all of our livers in trouble. Let's go ahead and talk about players that don't drive us nuts. Another player that stood out to me last night and really all season long is Jakob Chychrun, the left-handed defenseman. If you don't know who Jakob Chychrun is, you're gonna know about him more in the years to come, because of course you think of Arizona, you think of Phil Kessel, you think of Keller, you think of even Oliver Ekman-Larsson, but Chychrun has the exact same goals and assists as Clayton Keller, 13 goals, 18 assists, and he's a defenseman. So how good, Cori, is Chychrun gonna get?
That's what Jakob Chychrun is. Between him and Connor Garland this season, they are the saints on this team, because they are kind of the saving graces. Richie has this whole thing going on with a friend of his called Chick Norris, is what the hashtag that they started, because they wanted him in the Norris conversation a long time ago. He I've always been a proponent for offensive defensemen. I think they have a lot of purpose here in the NHL, and I especially think they have a lot of purpose when you put them in a 3-on-3 overtime. So I really think that they are really important kind of for the future of hockey. I was a big proponent of Keith Yandel on the Coyotes for a really long time, still am, and a lot of people didn't really believe me in that because of the fact that they felt like his turnovers made him more costly than beneficial. But in a league that's going to be focusing more on goals than anything else, that's where you're going to be wanting to have your defenseman, I think, moving. So Jacob Chikrin is fitting into this league, I think, very perfectly, and he is just growing faster than anyone had ever thought he would. He's only 23 and very newly 23. He just turned, I think, last month 23, and he is starting to hit his strides really well. And he is everything that Oliver Ekman-Larsson should be. And the fact that he hasn't really been playing like that, and he's the captain of this team and really hasn't been carrying his leadership role very well and hasn't really been performing on the ice. I'm glad that someone else on this team stepped up and kind of took his place because of the fact that Oliver Ekman-Larsson just really, I don't know if he has it in him anymore, especially here in Arizona, to do that. He kind of needed a change of scenery, but he had very small options that he gave the Coyotes of where he could be moved. So that didn't really work out, but I'm glad someone at least is taking his spot and doing that. And that in itself, I feel like that stat proves that Clayton Keller isn't doing as well as you would think he was. It's better, but it's still not as good as he should be.
That's understandable. While we're talking about desirable Coyotes here, you brought up my favorite Coyote, at least at the moment. It used to be Keller, but Connor Garland. Let's pretend for a minute that I'm Blues GM Doug Armstrong and you're Coyotes GM Bill Armstrong. And I'm calling about the availability of Connor Garland because I'm sick of seeing him. He destroys the Blues every time he faces us. He's a hell of a player. And I think there were some whispers that, they were taking calls on Garland at the deadline. I don't know how legit they were or not, but of course, it got my mind rolling here. I adore Garland. He plays he plays a scrappy game. I know that would get fans to like him here. So do you ever see Garland leaving Arizona? And if so, what's it going to take? What are we going to have to give up to get Connor Garland in the Blue Note?
It's going to take a lot to try and fill back up this pipeline. So obviously this team is really, really missing a lot when it comes to what Chaika left us with because of basically lost all of those draft picks and, a bunch of fines on a team that was already financially hurting and literally just left the team high and dry. He now has been suspended since then. So but it doesn't really fill the hole that he left. So it would really have to be filling that pipeline because of the fact that this team, as it sits right now, they can't rebuild this team from draft picks because of the fact that they just don't have any that are low enough to really make a difference. And so they would have to be picking throughout the NHL right now and really kind of dumping some players that they would like to not really dump. And I think Connor Garland is one of them because It's funny, I had gotten kind of heated on the podcast a couple weeks ago when we were playing nights. I can't remember who was quoted, but someone was quoted saying that Connor Garland was a dirty player because he had tabletopped someone during the Knights game. And I was
Mark Stone, and we loved it. We loved that hit on Mark Stone.
That's why that's one reason we love him.
And I was like, you've got to be fucking high to think that he is a dirty player. He is literally just the only player on this team with actual grit. Once Bunting came up, he's given this team a little bit more grit on that, which is nice, but he's the only one you're getting to see that excitement and that drive really out of. So losing that, I think, would be detrimental to this team, and I would rather not see him go. However, I could see if there was a lot on the table to try and fill that pipeline and fill some really desperately needed spots on this team. I could see them doing it for the fact that, he is deserved a large pay raise, but I just think he should stay here and they should figure out how to make money up with the fact of all of the people that aren't really putting in the effort on the ice that he is.
And of course, I'm just jumping real quick.
No,
you know, of course, you have to repair that pipeline, partly because of the assets you gave up in the Taylor Hall trade. Which, thank God, he went to Boston, because the Blues were in on Taylor Hall for some stupid reason, and Taylor decided he wanted to be a Boston Bruin, and all the power to him. Thank God, because that means he's not a St. Louis Blue. Thank God for that. We were not down with Taylor Hall.
I can't say he did anything here. Like, I really can't say that it helped whatsoever. It really, outside of it, made everyone else get lazy.
Yeah,
so,
he had one good year, the Hart Trophy year, a couple decent ones surrounding it, but he's never led his team to glory. He's never been the reason a team, went to the playoffs. I mean, he's an okay player. He's just one of the most overhyped players in the NHL. And, as far as the pipeline thing goes, and Wags, I think you'd agree with me on this. As far as a hypothetical trade for Garland, unless you really need goaltending, which you guys don't, I don't think we have much to offer them, Wags, in a Garland deal, because our pipeline is pretty barren.
Yeah, it almost feels like we're in that same boat in a sense where we kind of had to restock our cupboard as well. We've got some defensive prospects, we got some goaltending prospects, but the one thing that this team needs, offense, they just don't seem to have. And you were talking a little bit about some of the guys that have kind of struggled on this team. You got the Seattle draft coming up in a couple of months. Are you looking at possibly, and I don't know who has no movement clause and all that stuff, but who's the one guy that you're like, we were Justin Falk last year, this year, we don't know who we want to give up. Falk. But like, who is the one guy on that team that you could sit there and say, man, if we really exposed him and maybe kind of upped his game a little bit, we would want Seattle to take him? Is it a Ekman Larson? Is it a Clayton Keller with that contract? I mean, who is the guy that you're looking at?
I would be fine with either of them, honestly. There's actually less people we would like to keep than people that we wouldn't mind going away at this point. We're getting a little bit ruthless. Like, there's a very small list of people that as we've said before, it's basically kind of a Garland, Dvorak. I'm trying to remember who our third person was at this point, and Chychrun. Those are our three. Obviously Chychrun. So those were kind of our three that we were like, oh no, we need to keep these three. Everyone else, it's like kind of fire sale at this point.
Yeah.
Even Antti Ranta has been injured so often. If we have, 4 goaltenders that are capable, Prosnetsov is a little bit on the weaker side, but Hill is pretty decent. And then, you guys got to see Darcy Kuemper his first time back in like forever. So, we have some goaltenders that Antti Ranta can also go with his injuries somewhere else as well. So we're kind of at the point where there's a very small amount that we actually want to keep.
Which is crazy because we are also going for the playoffs, just like we are. And it's crazy to hear that about a potential playoff team. But I just had a question, John. I want to jump in real quick here. You're talking about players that he could be protecting. Aiden Hill, just from the looks of it, has done pretty well, filling in whenever Ranta's been hurt and Kemper's been hurt, which has, both have been hurt, a fair bit. Is there a chance that the Coyotes protect him over Kuemper and Ranta? Because you mentioned Ranta might be on the way out. I mean, is Kuemper getting too hurt for your liking?
That's a very interesting question, honestly. That is the question, I feel like, because of the fact that this is the second season that Kemper's been injured like this. It happened midway through last season. It was like December 17th they're playing Minnesota, and how he feels about Minnesota. He was completely getting worked in that game, should have been pulled way earlier, and injured, and he was out for the rest of that season. Luckily, he was able to come back because of COVID and that whole bubble situation. But he has also been getting injured very, very often. And Aiden Hill came in and played like 10 games in a row before they put Prosnetsov in. So he is able to hold his own for sure, but it's hard. You need to have a goaltender that is like at the caliber of Darcy Kuemper to be able to fill the holes that this defense has been allowing for many games now. So it's very hard. That's a very interesting question. I'm not sure what I would do in the situation. I think Hill is definitely the future in that sense, but I still feel like there is a need for Darcy Kemper at the moment.
By the way, at least Kemper is not Ben Bishop, who I think is at this point is being held up by ABC gum and Scotch tape. By the way, you've got a bit of a fan club going here, Cori. One Richard Flores says, "Man, Cori is always so right."
Thank you, Richard. I appreciate that. I hear you make amazing alcoholic milkshakes as well.
Ooh, man!
Oh yeah, did you see the pictures of those?
I did not.
Oh my goodness,
man! I wish we could have gotten him on the show, man. I mean, I need some of those in my life right about now. Life is stressful.
It was
you started walking. You started walking.
Milkshake.
You don't need an alcoholic milkshake.
Yes, I'm well, but like protein afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah, it's for the protein. It's for the protein. It's for the recovery.
Oh boy. All right, well, you've basically described the fact that the Coyotes and Blues essentially might be the same team. Goaltending, Arizona's got defensive issues on both sides, scoring issues on both sides.
We have players that drive us nuts.
Exactly. It's unbelievable how similar they are. And lo and behold, they're in the
absolutely.
they're in the race for the 4th spot in the West Division. Basically the right to get absolutely clapped by Colorado. We talked on Twitter about this earlier in the season, and neither one of our shows seems particularly interested in winning that 4th seed. Yes, it's the playoffs and you want to get in, and if you get in, anything can happen. But has that changed in your mindset for you or Arizona fans that, hey, even if it's the 4th spot and we may get blown out by Colorado, it's still the playoffs we want to get in?
I mean, it's always nice to get into the playoffs. And I mean, the reason why no one got moved at the deadline is because they claim that they've earned the right to try and get into the playoffs. So, I mean, more power to them, I guess. I don't know. It's going to be the same thing of where they get in and then Colorado just annihilates them. And then we're back at the same place I feel like we were last season. I feel like nothing has changed. Which is basically what we were trying to say going into the season. Like, this is going to be very, very, very similar in that regard. And it's funny because, my back and forth with Vegas with the fact that they thought that we were going to be at the very bottom of the league because of the fact that we lost Taylor Hall, and they thought Taylor Hall contributed for I don't know why. And so they thought that this team was going to be horrible without him. And we were like, they're going to basically the same team you saw before. And that's basically what we've seen here is there's nothing really that's advanced about this team. And there's nothing that's really gone to shit about this team either. So I don't know. They can get into the playoffs for shits and grins, but it's not going to be anything that's going to be too exciting other than the fact that they can put on there that they made it to the playoffs.
Another weird. One Armstrong sounds like the other too. They earn the rights.
This is another mirror on the wall moment because the Coyotes don't make a trade at the deadline because they think they've earned a right to go into the playoffs. The Blues don't make a trade at the deadline because, well, it's a little more complicated. It's partly they've earned a right to go into the playoffs, partly because Robert Thomas is hurt. So we better keep that Hoffman guy around for a little while longer. And then, of course, as Wags mentions, we both have GMs named Armstrong. It is. I feel like.
Well, we took ours from you anyway, so.
That's true. That is true. So there we go. And then you have the pride of Swansea, Illinois, Clayton Keller on your team as well. So it just the good vibes just keep rolling here. The Avalanche, we talked about them. They had a 6-2 record against the Oats this season, and that series is officially done. And boy, how I wish the Blues were done with them too, but we're not because. Thanks, NHL schedule makers. You're the best.
Your schedule sucks more than ours.
It really does, and not only that, the way they did it. I mean, we got through. We basically had nothing but California teams. Essentially, it felt like for the first few months, and I got kind of sick of seeing them. It was like, and not only that, but of course, because it's Blues hockey, they weren't the automatic wins that we thought they would be. Yep. So that was also an issue. But
I know that feeling too.
Yeah. So I want to say we'll make our guesses here after I ask this. But say the Coyotes get that 4th seed and they're going up against Colorado. How many wins do you think the Coyotes could get against Colorado?
1, maybe 2 are lucky.
Okay, I have us. If it's the Blues in Colorado, I think the Blues have it in them to get to Game 6. More likely game 5, I think. I'm not optimistic. Wags, are you the optimist among us?
A week ago, I would have been. I really, really would have been. But I think I'm in the same boat as you with maybe 5. They could probably push it to 6. They just, once again, like we talked about in the Open, they get any form of adversity against them and they fold. And I feel like they may get a win. And you know what it really reminds me of? And I can't believe I'm going to bring this up, but it reminds me of 96 against the Red Wings, where they could probably play and beat this team, but there's just got a little bit of a hold over them that one thing goes wrong and it just all falls apart.
Yeah, it's a real problem, and as Craig Ruby said, this team is fragile, and so they could rise up like the phoenix out of the ashes, or they can just completely fold like a lawn chair. I predicting where the Blues end up, Wags. I mean, it is a challenge in of itself. It is basically, I feel like you have to be a rocket scientist, and understand quantum physics to know where the Blues are going to end up, because I have no freaking idea. I just want
one of Tony Stark's time travel suits, so I can just go back in time to 2019 and just be like, okay, I'm good.
Yeah, you take the suit, I'll take the DeLorean. And go back to that time when we didn't have COVID. COVID wasn't a worry, and we had a full Market Street and the Stanley Cup parade, which I missed that day, by the way, because I was a little under the weather, and I regret it. Everyone reminds me of that. So
I was driving back from Alabama, so I also missed it.
Good times. Yeah. In fact, you were still in Alabama when the Blues won the cup as well, too. Gulf Shores.
Yeah, we were in Gulf Shores, and we found the one place that actually had the Stanley Cup on, and it just so happened to be a Hooters. And it just so happened that every Blues fan in Gulf Shores found that Hooters, and we got to celebrate with every Blues fan down in Gulf Shores, Alabama. It was pretty nice. And you know what else? Back in 2019 we didn't have to talk about is the fact that ads were not going to be on jerseys. We're going to talk about this after the interview is over, but we kind of wanted to get your opinion on the report that ads could start appearing on NHL jerseys in the 22-23 season. Are you pro or against ads on hockey equipment?
So it's funny. We've actually had a conversation a couple times because of the fact that everyone started losing their damn minds over the helmets in the beginning there. Yeah. So they were going fucking nuts over. Oh, and naming the divisions, us as the Honda West division, which I still didn't even remember it for the longest time. I was like, I kept on having to ask. I was like, what's our division again? And honestly, I could care less. I don't think we're gonna get into a point where it's like soccer, where they're the name of their sponsor is the name of their team. I don't think they'll be at that point. But I mean, in a world stage, exactly. Soccer is like the biggest sport out there, and people have ads all over the place, and no one really cares. So that's why I just feel like if it means that the NHL gets more money and the sport can grow, then I'm here for it, because I would rather them not have to struggle post COVID like basically everyone is, and
and I'm sure
hasn't already done it. I just feel like
go ahead.
Yeah, no, so and that's all, they haven't done it, and I feel like the reason why hockey fans are struggling with this is hockey in itself is more of a traditionalist in fans, in the fact that they always have to have everything kind of the way it always used to be, and change to them is nothing that they ever like.
Yeah, that's true. And of course, just people dealing with change in general sometimes can be, that can be a challenge in of itself. And then, as you said, NHL's a bit traditionalist in that regard. Although, as Derek points out, I mean, the KHL jerseys, I think they look okay. I mean, I have some KHL jerseys in my closet. They're not too obscene, compared to the Finnish league. Like, it looks like NASCAR drivers on ice, essentially, that's been the case for a long time. I mean, there's there's so many ads on Finnish league jerseys that you can almost barely see what color jersey it is, just because they're blocking all the color and uniqueness out of it. So, I mean, I thought the helmet ads were pretty tasteful. They haven't been a distraction or anything like that. And, it gets like, for the Blues, like, it'll get Enterprise's logo on TV for, a few seconds, that's fine by Enterprise, but it's not like in your face. So I'm sure the NHL will do something like that. And they're not going to do like, the Man U jersey where, all of a sudden the crest is being replaced by a Chevrolet logo or anything like that. I don't think they'll go that far. And if they do, that's the end of my hockey jersey collecting. Done. I will not buy one of those jerseys. Just flat out.
The sport's too classy for that. I don't think they'll ever get to that point.
I agree with that. And you've been a very classy guest. And I want to thank you for being on Bluenotes. What do you got coming up this week?
We will be talking about the game and Leighton Ricardo's induction into the Ring of Honor, and so we'll try to not get emotional. Like Richie almost got a little emotional last time, so we'll try and keep things a little bit more upbeat because the Coyotes haven't won a game in God knows how long. So it's very nice to at least have win under our belt, whether it is basically us doing the same thing we always do, as in being the like annoying little brother and always having to try and pick on you guys. So that's basically what we'll be up to, and we'll probably talk about the milkshake that we made because it's too big to not talk about that on the pod.
All right. Well, hopefully the milkshake brings all the listeners to the yard. And and by the way, where can they find you?
They can find us everywhere except for Twitter. So I guess on everything else at Cori Richie Show, and then on Twitter at Cori_Richie Show. I don't know why we did that. And then you can find me at Cori Nicole 2 E's, and you can find Richie at R Flores 91.
All right, Cori Crenshaw with the Sporty with Cori and Richie show. I want to thank you for joining Bluenotes, and I'm going to go ahead and run your promo just so people get an idea of what they can expect from you and Richie. And just again, thanks for being a part of the show.
Thank you for having me on. I'm Cori Crenshaw.
I'm Richie Suave Flores.
And this is Sporty with Cori and Richie Suave
on the Hockey Podcast Network.
What did I just listen to?
Oh, this game is just bullshit now.
Oh my gosh. They actually made me feel uncomfortable. What was it? Panty what?
The game has gone to bullshit.
Panty melted?
Why do we record these during the middle of games? Oh, God. Be sure to listen to Cori and I every Monday. We are your go-to source for the Arizona Coyotes on the Hockey Podcast Network.
And they are your go-to source for alcoholic milkshakes as well. I'm going to definitely check that out when that episode comes out on Monday because I need that in my life for sure. So Cori Crenshaw, of course, one of our favorite guests here with the Hockey Podcast Network. And thankfully she didn't rub it in our faces, over yesterday's game. So that's good. That's good.
They're a classy group over there. And I'll be perfectly honest. If the Blues don't make the playoffs and the Coyotes do, I kind of hope they have the same little magic that we had with Layla and they have that magic with Leighton and they go on a huge run and lift the cup because as much as we hate them, they really are like an annoying little brother that has grown up and become successful. And you may hate him because he might be better than you, but you still love him and you still want to support him if you can. So it's going to be fun to play him next year. But if the Blues miss the playoffs and they make it, I will be rooting for Arizona for sure.
But the weird thing is that they're that little brother that has like no self-esteem and wants to get rid of everyone to Seattle. So it's great. Like when someone comes on the show and says, I only want to keep 3 people, and the rest can fuck off. That's pretty
for a playoff potential team too.
It's playoffs. We're talking about playoffs. Crazy, unreal. So yeah, we'll see what happens for the rest of the season, and who knows? As you said, the Coyotes had some magic last year in the playoffs with the Predators, so maybe they can find some with Colorado. So getting back to our chat on ads on jerseys here, so they're looking to do this in the 2022-23 season. I think it would hurt my interest, because of course, as you know, I'm a hockey jersey collector. It would hurt my interest in getting jerseys. I think I'm not alone in that regard. In fact, I know I will. Derek points out that he might stop adding to his game used jersey collection if we stick ads on them. And that's going to be the big thing, Wags, because do you just do the ads for the game worn jerseys? And then at the retail, you still, you have I guess the pristine jerseys. What do you think about this whole thing?
I mean, I think if you're talking purely about retail versus game used. I think they have to just do it game used because you will lose people, because not everybody is supportive of the ads that they're promoting. Some people are not going to wear. Some people don't wear this Man U jersey because of Chevrolet on the front. A lot of them don't wear it because of the Man U crest, but it's a whole different story.
And then City SC, they have Purina on their crest. I mean, they may be against Purina for how they test food, or how they, test food to dogs or something. I don't know. There's probably a few reasons to not like Purina.
Exactly. So, I mean, soccer and hockey are obviously different. I think the smart thing, and I think the NHL will probably go that route, is, just the ads on the game used jerseys, and everything else still stay pristine, because they are a puristic kind of league. For me personally, it really just comes down to the tastefulness of it. I mean, you see the helmets have been good. I was okay with the helmets well before they even showed me what they were going to look like, because we've seen, little tags on it. We've seen decals. You don't really notice it unless it's a close up anyway.
Exactly.
So if they go that same kind of direction with the ads, patches, you see the patches. Yeah, the Blues have the Stanley Cup logo patch on theirs, and it's still not like super visible. You see it there, but it's not super distinct. It's not gaudy or overwhelming. You see things like the All-Star patches on some things. You see other patches on these jerseys. They don't ruin the pristine look of it. Now, if they start going toward the Finnish Elite League or things like that, where it's like patch, logo, then I start to get a little weird. And yeah, there's another great example by Derek, the Adidas patch on Hockey Fights Cancer jerseys. You see it. If you see a close-up, it's there. You recognize it. You go, oh, okay, that's cool. But when they're flying around on the ice, it's not the first thing that enters your mind. It's not oh my, they've got a patch on the back of their jersey. I think if they go that route, it's going to be fine. It's for the close-ups, it's stoppages in play, for people in the stands and for people on TV to see it. If it brings extra money into the league and continues to get them more exposure, I'm just like Cori in this. I think it's an okay thing. It's when it starts to go overboard that I think I'll probably pull off as well.
Yeah, tastefully done. Like, the helmets have not been an issue at all. I mean, you don't really notice them at all. I mean, especially during the course of play. I mean, you're not going to see the Enterprise logo or the Stiefel logo on the Blues helmets. I mean, if you do, then you probably got like a 150-inch TV. And can I come over and watch Blues games at your house? I mean, for real. But yeah, like if they do, like as Derek said, with the under the neck behind, I think that's fine. Even if they did like a little like underneath, like the where the blue shoulder is, like on the road jerseys, like right underneath, I mean, I think that'd probably be okay. If they do like a big thing, like it's like a like your Chevrolet jersey size thing, like on the back or on the front, that's when you're kind of infringing into, okay, now you're starting to take away from the character of the team, of the jersey, and you're basically just saying, hey, we're for sale. Which is not the way to do it. I mean, I bring up the ECHL a lot on this podcast. I mean, for one, I love my Fort Wayne Comets, and I still do. But if you go to a Fort Wayne Comets game at the War Memorial, which is just like idyllic minor league hockey stadium, the War Memorial, you go in there and you look at the ice, and it's just like you can barely see the ice because there's ads on the ice, and it's just I've taken pictures there, and a few people have commented. It's like, hey, where's the ice? All I see is advertisements. That's where you don't want the NHL going to. Now, minor leagues, I think minor leagues can get away with it just simply because the line between profit and deficit for those teams is a lot finer. I mean, there's not a lot of money in minor league hockey, especially at the ECHL level. For a good perspective on that, by the way, the Athletics, I think Scott Burnside did this, or Scott Wheeler, one of the Scots, spent 4 days with the Brampton Beast of the ECHL, who are, rest in peace, no longer with us. The article is called In One, My Time with the Brampton Beast. Look that article up. It's one of my favorite pieces of hockey writing ever. And it just details the hard scrabble life of a minor league team like that. So you can kind of see, and they have ads on their jerseys as well. I mean, like they're not, but they're kind of like the patches. They're not like the Giants, Finnish league, consume your entire jersey, advertisements. But you can kind of understand that. I think the NHL is doing a little bit better than the minor leagues, so I don't think they're that desperate. Although, to kind of further Cori's point, though, I mean, you want to see the league doing well, obviously. And I think both Arizona, I was going to mention this to Cori and just didn't have the opportunity. I think the Blues and Coyotes are both in agreement as well that they would like to see the cap go up from 81 million, because we have reasons to need a little bit of cap breathing room here. So that's another reason, I guess. So I guess in the end, if they do it tastefully, if they do it right, I think it's okay. I mean, look, the days of, if you watch a game in the 60s, like 1967 Blues, for instance, they didn't have any ads on the ice, on the boards, but those days are gone. The times are different. Times change. Teams need money. Players are making more money, than, Bob Plager. I don't think he made $1 million in his career. And yet you have guys like Clayton Keller who are making $7.5 million just this year alone, and Plager was a better player than Keller. So,
well, and you also see, you talk about ads on ice. It's not so much that they have them on ice at the arena. It's when you start to see them on the ice on TV, when you start to see them superimposed on the glass, of television games. The fact that they've even tested, boards that are on TV, you can superimpose ads on that and change them up throughout the game. Now I get all of that. I understand it. It is in the NHL. It still is kind of tastefully done in a sense. Like you notice it, but it doesn't impede your vision of the game of itself. But when it starts to impede it, that's when things go wrong. And we talked a little bit about the fact that they sold out the names of the divisions as well. Like Cori said, how many of us actually remember what the 4 divisions are actually called?
Exactly.
You've got the Honda West. I don't even remember the other 3.
Like the Mitsubishi South or the or the Yugo East or the
Pinto North or something.
The Daewoo North. I don't know. And that didn't take off, obviously. And and sometimes I think if there's one thing we learned is that sponsoring division names probably don't work, and maybe you don't see those advertisers go back next year and sponsor the divisions as they are normally because hey, it didn't work.
And it may have just been a one-time thing too. It's you knew that you weren't going to be bringing in the revenue. Yeah, you're not bringing in the revenue that you normally would. So what can you do to bring in that revenue you're losing? Which something that may not even go past this year anyway. So it was a smart move on the NHL's part. It didn't endear themselves to their fans a lot, but once again, how many people really are stopping watching hockey because they named a division the Honda West division?
Exactly. And there's some people, that when the reverse retro jerseys came out, a lot of people saw through it. Well, yeah, some people saw through it and said, "Oh, this is just a cash grab by NHL." Well, yeah, they need money. They went economically stagnant, for 9 months last year because of the pandemic. So, and yes, it did not stop me from buying reverse retro jerseys. I bought too many of them, but anyway, but it's gonna be fine, guys. It's not gonna destroy the game. It's not. It is what it is, and like Derek pointed out that you still would have space for shoulder patches, promotional patches. It's when done right. I think the NHL will do it right because
mark it down. 7:36 p.m. 4/18/2021. Tom says it will all be okay.
We're totally gonna get advertisements that just consume the entire jersey, aren't we? Like the Blues are gonna come out one night in like a Ronald McDonald jersey. They don't
have to use the reverse retros anymore this year.
That's true. May as well just put a big old. I have a puck up here. May as well just put a big old M logo on it. You're halfway there at this point. All right, so now on to kind of our final topic of the episode here, and today was the Bobby Plager celebration of life. And I am wearing my Bobby Plager shirt, which you can get from the STL Authentics. Number 5 in your program, number 1 in your heart. There's a bigger version on the back. And I had a chance to watch a little bit of it today. Of course, they had the funeral for Bobby Plager today. That's private. And then they had Visitation Enterprise Center on Friday. Today, I thought today's celebration of life was very well done. They streamed it on their social media pages. Had a lot of great moments in there. Charles Glenn, a couple of songs there to kind of break up the guests. Always nice to hear from him. Mike Caruso, the VP of Media Relations, who's been with the team since 1988, had a great speech about Bobby. Chris Kerber, great as usual. Rob Ramage coming on and speaking and talking about how much of an honor it was to wear number 5 as a Blue. And then Jackman coming on, the other number 5 after Plager retired. Plager gave Jackman the number 5 to wear essentially. And they also showed video of Tom Stillman announcing that Plager's number was being retired from a few years back. And his first words were to thank Jackman for living up to the number. After Tom Stillman said, "Hey, your number's being retired," he didn't talk about, "Well, I've had a great career. It's been, a great honor." No, he went back to talking about Jackman, and for thanking him for living up to the number. Just an incredibly selfless man. And I thought the send-off was worthy of a man like Bobby Plager.
It really was. And, it's so sad that it had to happen in this time frame where the amount of people that could have paid respect were not really able to.
Yeah.
I don't know if you got a chance to go down to visitation on Friday or not. I was unable to. I really wanted to go, but unable to make it. But just the fact that the Blues were able to give people a chance to see that and experience that and just say one final goodbye to Bobby was amazing. And yeah, today, the celebration of life, I mean, that's really what it came down to. I mean, Bobby would not have wanted us to be sad. He would have wanted us to laugh and to remember the good times and to be as selfless as he was. I mean, like you said, just the fact that when he found out his number was retired, it was more of a matter of saying, "Thank you, Barrett, for living up to what that number means," before he even considered what it meant to him. I mean, I think he knew what it meant to him, but he was not going to put that out there. That's not who he was. He was very, very, just like you said, a selfless man. And Caruso's story too about, just the fact that he would hold court after games till about 11 or 12 and then go back to Bobby's place to hold court there and then just come back over and do it all again the next. I mean, that just tells you how much of a personal person he was. I got a chance to get his autograph way back in the day when I was an early teenager. Didn't really get a chance to experience Bobby Plager, but just getting a chance to have him sign my jersey, you could just tell what kind of a man he was. He had the smile on his face, and it makes me sit back and go, I got to take advantage of every opportunity I get to meet and spend time with any of these people, whether they're legends or just basic people. Spend the time with them, because you never know how long you're going to have them, and you never know until they're gone what those experiences actually meant to you.
Absolutely. And I never really had a true personal experience with Bobby Plager. When he'd passed away on this very podcast, people talked about their encounters with Bobby Plager. And I know there were times just running into him at Enterprise Center, in the press box area, where I thought about saying hello, but I didn't want to interrupt his thinking or whatever. You kind of wish that you can go back and actually say hello, to him, and maybe strike up a conversation. I mean, because he was just a wonderful man, and always willing to talk Blues hockey and with anyone. I mean, really, he did not discriminate. He was that passionate about his team. And, it was nice to, hear the stories of how, he impacted guys like Jackman and Ramage and Caruso and all those. And I like Chaser's story, by the way. We're talking about how, he used to hold court after games. Did you hear his Chaser story about the bar brawl?
I have not.
So basically, and I'm paraphrasing here, but Chaser was talking about how his rookie year, he was sent to Peoria, and Tony Twist joined him not long after that. Twist made the team, and then he went back down a couple weeks into the season, and Twist was pissed off about that. You don't want to anger a guy like Tony Twist, because for one, the guy was an amateur boxer growing up, and I've actually shaken Tony Twist's hand when he had his bar in Imperial, Missouri, and he's got some freaking meat hooks. Canned hams. And So he's down in Peoria with Chase. Chase picks him up from the airport, and they're going to go to a bar with a couple Blues players to kind of get Twist, assimilated with the team. And Chase is going to parallel park outside the bar, and he's waiting for the guy to leave his spot. And this motorcycle comes in and just swoops in and takes the spot. And so Chase parks, and he parks out behind the bar, I guess. And Twist walks all the way around and like shoves the motorcycle over, right outside the bar. And he described a fracas that happened right after that, with multiple Blues players, and a few of them went to jail even, but just for a few hours they got bailed out, and then they were right back at the bar, that night. But one of the players narked out the team to Bobby Plager, who was coaching Peoria at the time. And the next day, Bobby made all the players involved do just wind sprints across the ice, for about an hour. And he says, next time this happens, don't tell me, because I have to explain it to the pro club in St. Louis what happened. If you don't tell me it, then I can just wave it off as a rumor. That is old school hockey psychology right there. And we won't get a lot of guys like Plager like that anymore. No. So as always, number 5 in the program, number 1 in the hearts. And I'm wearing my hat backwards like this just because he is an original 1967 Blue. So you got to love him. By the way, we are getting invaded right now.
Special guest alert! Special guest alert!
Special guest alert! I don't have a video set up for him though. Oh man! So I
come back next week.
Whoa! Here's Mason, Blue fan.
Okay. I can tell when I'm not wanted. I can tell.
No, I just wasn't prepared.
He even dressed up for us too.
Look at that!
I dressed up for Grandma's birthday dinner. I didn't dress up for you.
Oh well, I appreciate it. I appreciate you didn't throw on a jersey over that magnificent outfit you got there.
Why would I put on a jersey right now? Explain to me. Where's my motivation for doing that?
Man. Well, we just had to.
Games don't warrant a jersey, buddy.
You know how much courage it took us to start the episode to talking about the game last night. I mean, it took a lot.
A lot more than I got.
Exactly.
A lot of adult encouragement.
Well, thankfully, Cori Crenshaw from Sporty with Cori and Richie came on to do a lot of the talking for us. So
that's nice.
God bless her. God bless her. So we're talking about that. We're talking about ads on jerseys. Did you see this report that the NHL is going to start putting ads on jerseys starting in the 2022-23 season?
Yeah. What the fuck did I tell you guys? What did I say? I said that first it's the helmets. It's going to be the jerseys next. And everyone's like, no, NHL would never do that.
Yeah.
Look who knows what he's talking about every once in a while, huh?
But our point, here's the thing with the helmet ads. They're really innocuous, and they really they don't take away from the game at all. Like unless you have, like, as I said, unless you have like some insane 150-foot TV, during the course of play, you don't see them, you don't notice them.
Right. Well, that wasn't the issue. The issue wasn't the ads would be visible. The issue is they're going to do helmets. What makes you think they're not going to do jerseys? That's the issue. It's a snowball effect.
Well, they do it in other leagues. The KHL has ads on their jerseys. The Finnish leagues are just ridiculous in how much ad space they have on their jerseys. You can barely see the color of the jerseys. Terrible. Minor leagues have ads on their jerseys. And, as I explained, you can kind of understand the minor leagues because the difference between profit and deficit is so thin with minor league teams. Whereas NHL, I mean, you like to think they're doing well enough to not need to put ads on jerseys. But Cori made this point, and I kind of agree. You want to see the league do well, and you might want to see the cap go up in the next couple of years because it's still going to be 81 million next year because of COVID reasons. So I mean, there's one aspect of you want the league to do well, and there's also the aspect of but they got to do it tastefully. And so like Derek suggested, maybe putting it like you've seen the Hockey Fights Cancer jerseys. Where they put like the little thing in the back, underneath the neck. Maybe they do it like that, and if that's the case, except for the occasional close up that you'll get during the course of a game, it won't matter.
Right.
So hopefully it's not too bad. And then the other thing we just got finished talking about Bobby Plager. his celebration of life was today. Were you able to catch any of that?
I wasn't able to. I had I know where to find the live stream and things like that. I saw the beginning of the ceremony when it was like actually at Enterprise, but I couldn't catch on most of it, unfortunately. But I'm gonna make sure to watch that tonight.
Yeah, it's still up on the Blues YouTube and their Facebook as well. A lot of great speeches. From Kelly Chase was the final one, and he had a really good one that we were talking about. They also had a little bit of a parade afterwards. I had a lot of my friends. I asked my friends to take pictures for me. So nice.
They gave me some pictures. A bunch of them met each other for the first time at that parade. So
that's nice.
It's just what a nice gesture. Together. Yeah. What a nice gesture doing the parade route. Like that's just like whoever came up with that. Just wow. That's such a good idea.
Obviously, you couldn't have the crowd that you had in 2019, but I was very encouraged by the photos that I did see, and it looked like it was a pretty decent turnout.
A lot of people told me it was a good turnout. Wasn't Stanley Cup final parade, obviously, but it was very decent. Especially considering the times and it real cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So. We were gonna wrap up unless you wanted to drop a rant on us about the game last night, or how the Blues, or how the Blues can't play in the second period anymore, or
screw the second period. The Blues can't play games anymore. They say 5 minutes is enough. They're like, all right, that's it, pack it up for today. Yeah, you don't want me raging. In fact, Guy intentionally left me out of his post game show last time around because he's like, I don't want F-bombs this time around. I'm like, yeah, that's fair.
That's fair. That's fair.
I would say, there's going to be a lot of F-bombs. Yeah, so it's probably a good idea.
Yeah, I Guy is trying to clean up his STL fan report over there. I get it. It's fair. It's fair, but fair. That's not our fucking problem. Okay.
Yeah,
not our fucking problem.
We'll say whatever the fuck we want.
Exactly right. Hey, we can say all the F-bombs we want, and DraftKings will still sponsor us.
DraftKings, you freaking legends. You fucking legends.
Exactly.
You fucking legends.
Promo code THPN, and they'll even throw money at you for putting that code in. They're wonderful, wonderful. So shout out to DraftKings. Shout out to Center Ice Brewery as well for sponsoring our show. Of course, we'll see how your predictions are for how many points the Blues have at the end of the year, which, as we explained earlier with Cori, I feel like you need quantum physics to figure out where the Blues are going to end up, because 1 week they are coming and the next week they are folding like a lawn chair. So, I think they cut off Binnington when he said we're coming. I think he was actually talking about Normandy Golf Course here in St. Louis, and like we're coming to Normandy Golf Course in June while the NHL playoffs are going on because we won't be in them.
Botched ad read.
Yeah, botched ad. Yeah. Say no to Binnington for future ad reads. He will not be doing those here on this professional program. So
of course.
Now, speaking of Normandy, the fact that Jack Nicklaus is coming to redesign the course, that's a pretty big deal.
Cool. That is cool. Normandy,
really?
It is the oldest golf course west of the Mississippi. It's 120 years old, and they've been trying for years to get it renovated and spruced up. And Jack Nicklaus comes along and says, "I'm going to redesign Normandy."
That's huge.
That is big. So,
all right. Well, I guess we'll have to go golfing too.
Well, yeah, St. Louis has a pretty vibrant golf community here. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's plenty of courses and people are really into golf here. It's more so than other cities I've lived in. So,
yeah, Salt Lake's kind of the same way too. We got some pretty courses here, but it's pretty rabid here as well. Yeah.
Do you play golf?
Because there's I got my own set of clubs. I'm a lefty, so I got my own set of clubs.
Notice he said, "Yeah, I've got my own set of clubs." Not that he plays golf, but he's got his own set of clubs. That right there tells you he's not a good golfer.
Those clubs could probably do a good job hanging your coats. I mean, but can they get it down the fairway? I don't know.
Yes, I can get it down the fairway. Okay, you see, I'm better than if you pick an average Joe from the street. I could probably beat him. So there we go.
You'd beat my ass because I can't play golf. I tried, but put it this way: I'm so bad at golf that my dad, growing up, he coached my baseball team, he coached my soccer team. He was very involved in sports, and he always believed in me. He always had confidence in me, even though I was not a great athlete. he gave up on me when it came to golf. He just said, "Fuck this, I'm out." Not happening because I have the worst slice on the man. I have the worst slice.
You know how bad I am.
How bad are you?
I go to tee off. I have to turn around and face the other way for the ball to go down the fairway. That's how bad of a slice I've got.
I am grateful for those little grates they put in between you and the golfer next to you, because there have been times I have sliced my ball into that grate, directly to the right here.
I'll get one behind me.
How?
I don't know.
That's amazing.
How?
I don't know.
Okay.
Did you miss? And then, like on the backswing, you just kind of the recoil.
You guys ever been to Topgolf?
Oh yeah.
No, I have not.
That was a blast.
Oh, gotta go there. I didn't know if they had them in St. Louis or not. Well, we
have one in Chesterfield.
Well, there we go. I guess we're going to Chesterfield and going to do some Topgolf. Man, their nachos for a golf place. Their nachos are freaking amazing.
Holy
hell!
I've heard a lot of reasons to go to Topgolf. I've never heard that about the nachos though.
It's so awesome.
It's just like the strip clubs and their country fried steak.
Oh,
right?
Of course, strip clubs, Topgolf. I mean, they just go hand in hand, like the Blues and Coyotes.
You want to go to the strip club to get some steak?
Honestly, never been to one, so I don't know.
That's the most virgin thing I've ever heard in my fucking life.
Oh no!
Another order of business. The beard, huh? Yes or no?
I see you cut it down. You cut it down.
I got it way down. Funny. Put razor to beard. Immediately regretted it. Immediately.
Was it because I finally put your picture up on the Justin Falk Stan Club on Facebook?
No, that's not it. No, it was just that because what's weird about my facial hair is this side grows like twice as fast as this side for some stupid reason.
Interesting.
So I had to trim that. It's ridiculous. But, whatever.
Mine's kind of getting to the point where I need to trim it a little bit, but then I still have this like weird bald spot, like right here that just like
I got it too.
No hair. Yeah, no hair. Yeah, see, yeah, exactly. Yep. You know Wags, you don't have any hair.
Wags with the gestures genuinely to the face.
Wags is sitting there like, man, I need to grow a beard just so I can go to the strip club and get some steak.
Yes. They won't let me in without a beard.
Otherwise they'll card me.
Little card, yeah, some cards Wags.
Actually, did.
Really?
Just recently get carded, yeah.
Man.
Really?
Because of the mask, I mean.
Of course.
You're really 16, right, Wags? I mean,
16, that's giving me a lot of credit.
Let's drop the 36-year-old thing here. Let's get real, okay? You don't have to lie about your age to be on Bluenotes, okay?
Right.
Oh, thank goodness. Okay, let me take all this suit off and reveal my 7-year-old self.
Like the SpongeBob episode where it was the gorilla, where it was Patrick unzipping and there's a gorilla inside. Yeah, I can't be the only one who remembers that.
All this time, Wags is a 12-year-old Call of Duty player who pwns noobs in his spare time.
And you got to do what you got to do to make a living.
The truth has come out.
That would explain the F-bombs.
That would explain. It would explain a lot. Like steaks to strip clubs. By the way, if you're a strip club that has a very nice steak, we would like to talk about advertising with you. Just email us at bluenotespot@gmail.com.
Hardcore plug there.
Exactly. There you go.
No pun intended.
Yeah. I see what you did there.
That was good. Come on. Oh, I'm gonna get an angry text from my mom every second.
The real question is, have you guys been to a strip club? I have never been to a strip club.
No. Well, okay. Don't they? Okay, and Ballpark Village, don't they have like the stripper poles at the bottom there?
I don't really know.
There were strippers. Last time me and my dad went to Ballpark Village, there's like a bar on the first floor. There were poles, and I know there were strippers there.
You sure they just weren't support poles to hold the building up?
I'm 90% positive.
Weird. I've never seen those. I've also not been to Ballpark Village lately, so I don't know.
And keep in mind, I am only 20, so
that is true.
Here.
And that is factual.
Yes.
Real 20. No, I went to one, but it was a long time ago. It was like right after I turned 21. It was one of those kind of deals, and it was okay. It was fine. But it's just like I always feel kind of skeevy a little bit, about going to one. It just and basically my one trip to one kind of validated those concerns. It's just like I imagine if you're going there like every Friday night. I mean, how sad are you? Like, are you more sad if you're going to a strip club every Friday night, or have never gone to a strip club, or if you go to a strip club just for their steak?
If they know you by name, I think it's a bit of an issue.
Yeah.
If they know you by name.
And if they ask you how your kids are, that's
how's the wife? How's the kids? Giving you a lap dance, like, so how's the wife?
Did they pass that history exam?
And your kid is a playmate with the stripper's daughter as well, and recess. That's a little far.
Timmy hit Johnny again.
This is your third time here in 3 weeks. Is your marriage okay?
Hey, did you give Joan that recipe for bunt cakes that I gave you?
What? Wait, talk about buns? What? These? Okay. Wow.
This show has gone really interestingly tonight.
I'm so glad Cori left this. Got out when she did, man. Man, she would never come on if she saw this. Good stuff.
I feel like I'd be like pouting in the corner the whole time. I just be like, you want to lap dance? No,
I'm okay.
No, the Blues are losing right now. I don't want to feel like it.
Don't you see the TV? It's 8-0. They're losing.
Exactly.
Leave me alone, sunshine. Leave me alone.
No, her name would be Tori because
it would be Candy. It would be Candy with a K.
Maybe Candy. I'm not in the mood for sweets.
I don't deserve sweets. The Blues lost.
Man, I just derailed this whole thing.
Yeah, I've steadily been watching our viewer count just completely plummet off the face of the earth. So
it's my fault.
I think it's time for us to wrap this show up. So, on that note, I want to thank you for listening and watching, because without you, there is no me, there is no Wags, there is no Mason coming in to do a drive-by on the show at the last minute and completely derail it. And there is no Hockey Podcast Network. I'm Tom Franklin, reminding you to not be a chump. And what do we do, Wags?
Always play to the whistle.
A reminder that you can follow Bluenotes on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Bluenotes Pod. I'm the voice of the Blues, Tom Calhoun. Jeremy Boyer, play us out.
You're listening to the Hockey Podcast Network, your home for hockey talk covering every team in the NHL. New episodes every Monday. Download at thehockeypodcastnetwork.com or wherever you get your podcasts from. Okay, Google. I'm hungry for steak. Who's open?